On s'est rencontrés il y a quoi, il y a 5 ans?
We met up about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Not longer than that. And I have to say that I made a mini-series for Arte called Au-delà des murs, and Veerle was one of the main characters in it. And what typifies Veerle is an extraordinary talent combined with this ability to work, this work capacity. It's also extraordinary. And that combination of those two things I was interested in, and we'll try and understand with Veerle how she works with her roles in film or series, and spend a few minutes spending on her love for series and on cinema in general. And let's look at her work, the roles that she plays on the screen, how this ties into her script writing or screenwriting. Because you were just starting to write Tabula Rasa. It's a fantastic series. Is it available somewhere in France? I know it's on Netflix, but maybe it's on Netflix France. I think it is, but I don't know if it's in France as well. Has anyone seen it here? No? Yes? Well, I thought it was also in France. Can I ask you questions in French and you can answer in English if you want? No, I can answer in French. So, how did you start off in this business? First of all, the business as an actress. I wasn't particularly fascinated by acting. I think it was just a question of life, but doing it in a different way. I was more into music. I was a fan of Michael Jackson's. I used to imitate him. I used to dance, and not even singing. And sort of a broad education that I needed, and in several, I don't know every word in French, in every compartment repertoire. So it's acting, it's singing, it's dancing. And I went to the Brussels Conservatory, first of all in music, and I thought this would be good. I can also learn a little bit about acting as well, but I didn't really care. But I'd always been a pianist. It was something I used to do. Well, go on, I don't have much to say, he said. So, and bizarrely, I was really swept over by acting. I learned that it was something real, that you could work on, and the characters, all of this. So it's a very complete, comprehensive education, basically, music, ballet, classical ballet, jazz, dance, close harmony, all that sort of stuff. So you very quickly learned music, basically. You had lots of small roles. I think in 2007, that's when you started off. I did the Flemish version of something called Sara in Flanders. And that's where you started to be known to the general public. It was crazy, in fact, in the streets. No. But there was a Sara Day, and 25,000 people. I was just one of the people. There were girls who wanted to come and touch my belly, and I didn't know what was going on in Ghent. Yeah, well, I was on a studio, and I was like Eva Perron, waving at a crowd. When was the last time there were 25,000 people in Ghent? I think it was when the liberation took place. Yeah, something like that. So how long did Sarah last? To record? In total? I don't know. It's still coming out. They're doing reruns in Flanders. And there are books coming out. Okay, it's Sarah's journal. I think she's already dead. I think her children are writing her books. So it's still coming out, but I don't have much to do with it. But again, in the street in Flanders, at least, people come on. Hey, it's Sara. Have you carried on playing piano as music continued to be something very, very, very important? I know, but can you explain a little bit your career? Because I think it's been following with you, not because you didn't want it, but it's a bit like Marilyn Monroe. There's music, basically, just up to this project we just talked about. Music is part of this thread that seems to be tightening up and getting looser from time to time. Some people say, okay, sometimes she's changed from acting to music, and so she's in Vaya con Dios. It's easy for her because she can act and sing. But a lot of people, not you, say, hey, can you sing us a song? Everyone has this idea that no, I should have made you sing a song. No, not a good idea. But as the beginning, it was Emma Lucchini who, at the time, there wasn't a song in it. And someone told me, you're going to sing a song. And I think there was Edouard Belgian, where I did something, in fact, au nom de la terre. And he said, you're going to sing a song for us. And I went, no, not every role I play has to be able to sing. That's just not possible. So that's what the media do. They tend to pigeonhole us. And even Lucchini's film, the extract they show in the media, is the extract where you sing. Well, it's nice. I've got nothing against this, but I'm not going to have to sing in every film. I think that when you read a script, you work, you even think about things that we don't get. And I'm in a good position to know this, that we don't think about this. You enhance the character with your work. What's the process that you use? You work concretely with tools or books you read when you work on a character? At one point, I said, I don't want to play or just be myself as I am here, because I'm not impressed by that. And I dared to do something that's physically outside me. It's something new. It was a failure, but it was a start. And then I started to develop a sort of, not a theory. I found the psychology of a character is very important. A lot of people say, don't go into the psychology. It's the action that matters. But where do we come from? What injuries do we have, do we bear, thanks to our education or the way that our environment, where we grow up? It's very important for the character. And I discovered several books that are psychological tests. The 5 Wounds from Lise Bobo. I don't know, it's Medinabu, somebody who gave me this book who said, it's really for you. The 5 injuries, the 5 wounds, L'Enneagram, I don't know if you know this, it's 9 types of character. That's sad. Anyway, there's also astrology that could be intriguing to see, so what's my horoscope sign for my character? Because you'll collect ideas that will enhance your character. So when you read a script and you're offered a role and you say, okay, I feel like doing this one, I feel like participating, then you take that script and you say, what sign is my character? And then you make comparisons. That's very theoretical. I'm behind a desk and I'm looking at this and saying, that's logical, that's not logical. How can we do this? How can we put this inside? And I think it enhances. I learn words with you. I learned, yes, a pisonnier. I learned this word. I heard that, yes, a tisonnier, sorry. I taught Veerle Baetens an important French word, says Hervé. As an actress, joining a project, I think it's important that you leave the actor to think a little and to bring something into the table. And I get the feeling sometimes in France, at least, not in cinema, not on TV perhaps, but it's something, I had complete freedom with you to offer things. You said no, and when no was no, it was no. I very rarely say no to you, though. It's true, you have a lot of fun to work with. So you come back with some ideas and you work in layers as a screenwriter. And is this something you've adopted when you started? Because when we met, you were writing Tabula Rasa. Is that a method that you're developing to describe characters? You're going to find people in those books. What do you do? Well, there's a story and the character, and that's important. So you have to adapt. You know that characters are adapted for the story. And that bothers me because as an actress, I find that the character is the most important thing. That's the basis. But the story has to be written through the character's eyes. And so I'll take my baggage with me, and I've been working on for 15 years now. But it's difficult because there are as many characters and to develop, and it's a lot of work. And you really have to develop everyone equally, and I find that difficult. Have you been writing for a long time? I'm not a screenwriter. I just have fun, really. I just have pleasure learning, and maybe theoretically it's something where we say if it's starting to get if it's starting to get a bit boring, I can already get back to my computer. No one can see me doing this, but I'm always interested in the story, in the characters. Tabula Rasa was the first thing you did? Yeah. I co-wrote it. I learned by writing. That's no better school than to be at a table with writers. And my film, which I hope to be able to do, which is called? It's Débâcle in French. It comes from a novel by Elise, and it's in Dutch it's called Hutsmelt. It means it melts. It's a huge book. It's fantastic, but it's really tough to adapt. And I was on my own with my producer, and we have a little shuttle service, but it was talking about it. But most of the time I was alone. I talked to you about that as well. I have writer's block. I can't do this anymore. I'm becoming crazy. And I contacted Delphine Girard and Martin Lloyds. I shot a short with this brilliant director, and we really developed this thing, because what's difficult when you adapt a book, you can imagine how it is, but that's the hardest thing. Is she in rejection in this book, or is she in this abundance mode? And that's a big difference. And I didn't know where to go. And at the same time, okay, the story was going one direction and my role was going another. And it's not always interesting to see that for a script, because it's somebody who is silent, who is reticent, who takes flight and doesn't talk very much. But you don't need that. But it's very difficult to tell a story with a main character who is so who takes flight. At least I find it so. When I'm reacting to what you just said, there's sometimes the fact that you stop writing for a few weeks, a few months, to go and play a role, a character. You develop that character role. Do you come back, and will that release things, so that things find you solutions to carry on writing? Is that something that in your life as an artist, as an actress, and as a screenwriter, whatever you say, you do write? You say you're not one, but not yet. Okay, give me a call when you become one. So, how are things added? I think everything helps. I've just seen a play. It's called The Dance from Pina Nabash, and I loved it. And I'm always, in fact, I always learn from everything I see. So if I look at a film, I will develop a character. And of course, I will have comparisons. And that's good. It's good to be there with your body and then go back to your desk and think with your head. I love that. As we're in Série Series, let's talk about series. Did you have a TV when you were a kid? Did you watch a lot of series? Well, no, yes. MacGyver. I used to see something called Einfall für zwei. It's a German thing. Maybe there's some Germans in the room. Einfall für zwei, or Derrick. These were detective things. Very few French things. There was something called the Chocolate Show, or Club Dorothy. That was a children's program. There was a lot of MTV as well, because I used to collect all the videos from Michael Jackson. Oh, great. Greatest hits. But the series, of course, that was something. And when you began, did you want to start acting in series, or was it by happenstance? Something happened? Well, a series for actors it's great because you can go a long way with your character. In a film, you have to be economical, and it's very cutting edge. But in a series, you have development time, but you can also look for things. I think that's great. Is that something you want to carry on doing, making films? Obviously, you wouldn't say no. And series? Do everything, sing, write. Well, for me, it's the same thing. There's a small short film, and overall of a series, it's a big film basically. So it's a lot of work, but it's the same thing in one form or another. When you work, do you work in the countryside? Do you think I live in the countryside somewhere? I live 20 minutes from Brussels. Well, that could be countryside. Yeah. I will go into the Wallonie part, the French-speaking part. When you move, you in Belgium, you either become Flemish-speaking or French-speaking. So I write in the countryside. Do you write music? I did an album called Dallas that completely failed, that I loved doing. It was half French, half English, a bit electro as well. I loved it, but I have no talent there. I love being part of that group, but when you write on your own, you're the boss, you're the leader, and I don't have the means. Even though I studied music from childhood, I don't have it. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's something else. You can sing and have a bit of rhythm. I don't know. You could say I need some streaming. I need some violin. Is there some time moment for a bridge or a solo? But I have no idea where I'm going. And when I worked with Sandrine Collard as a partner on my album, I was writing the words and doing the melodies, and she was doing the music. So that means, how can the character, the main character goes to the past, that can infect you? Well, I'm always frightened. I have stage fright when I'm live. I have to do this word by word. When you sing, of course, you've got to do this. What's the next word? What's the next line? I like doing that, but they're all the videos that are great to do. And I love that combination of where we've got TV involved, but also the safety being able to redo things.
I love it, but on the other hand, it scares me stiff every time I've got to go on stage. You know, it was Veerle who said he felt like being sick, and it comes out from the other end. I'm sorry for being as vulgar, but that's what I mean. And it's so unpleasant. It literally empties me. It drains me physically, morally, mentally. It's horrendous. Yeah, but what a pleasure when it's over and when it's gone well. I remember I saw you on stage in a concert after the massive international success of Alabama Monroe, and it was the same musicians, yeah, apart from the guitar player. Thomas is this, however, he's the same guitarist with whom we've worked, where we went to Olympia and Les Cigales, because you did go on tour, didn't you? Yes, for 3 years. So how did you manage that at the time? Well, it's very interesting because my character from Via con Dios, she's really separate. It really is something to be front lady. It's really hard. It's hard work because it's your body that you've got to take into account all the time. And how did I manage it? Well, I had the armchair. I literally had the other musicians' armchair. It was as if they were carrying me. And you had the film, yes, and I had Johan who talks. Whereas when I've got to talk on stage, okay, it's okay because you're asking me questions. But if I was to talk in between the songs about anything under the sun, I'm not amusing. I don't know how to still tell stories in the same way as Johan does. But it's true. All day, I would say, the day. It depends on what you're doing in the evening. And then you've got so much adrenaline after you perform that you just can't sleep. You know, you've got the lead up and then you've got the anxiety. That's it. Then you get up in the morning and the anxiety begins for the evening. You just start to get really worried. You think, oh, my voice is still there. I spend all day just checking that my voice is still there. And it's horrible for other people. How many concerts did you do? Can you remember? No, I've no idea how many concerts we did on the tour. 100 so? No, the musicians aren't there. They're not interested. They've gone. No, I really couldn't tell you. 100, something like 100, I would imagine. And could you act in films at the same time and continue to write? Yes, write. I'm not sure I managed to write. But I did manage to do certain other things. You know, I could act. I was able to tell people that I couldn't act beyond a certain time of day. Now, to go back to writing, you came to writing, and is it always a real pleasure for you? Yes, because am I right, or did it confirm? Did it confirm to you the fact that you really want to continue? You want to continue to write? Oh, absolutely. I'm particularly interested in being there. As of the cradle, I want to be there where everything starts. I want to be an extra, but I want to be involved. In other words, I'm a puppet, and I'm also when I'm an actress, I feel like a puppet. So to be involved in the process, initially speaking, it's great. So does that mean you're a bit of a control freak? Yes, absolutely. But at the same time, it's simply that I just want to act out things that I co-write. But as a woman, I would say it's quite a good thing. I think it's quite a good thing to be there at the beginning of the writing process. For what reason? Well, because there aren't that many women who write the scripts. Okay, we're starting to see more and more, but for a long, long time, it was rather rare for women to play a role. I was often the prostitute, for example, the mistress or the wife with the kids, the very brave, courageous mother. And I must admit that I wanted a different kind of role. I wanted a woman, like in Les Ardennes, a woman who's got fault lines. She's a very strong woman, not because she's strong, but because she's a woman whose personality has been developed in the writing process. She's got her own story. She's not there just to be the mother to serve the man's interest. Yes, she's not just there to serve the interests of the main character. And so for the moment, I'm co-writing or developing a French-speaking series with Verses, Jacques-Henri Pancart with Delphine Gérard, who's a director who's absolutely fantastic. And at a given moment in time, we were fantasizing over a feminine character that I wanted to play. She wanted to see me in that role, and it's fantastic. I'm going to do a bit of advertising now, commercial advertising, as we say. It's called After Me Comes the Flood, and it's about a fantastic actress who's so isolated, a bit like Via con Dios, but slightly differently so. And it's a bit of a comedy, but it's also a drama. And there's a kind of heat wave at a given moment in time where society crumbles away, and she's going to find herself all on her own because her money's not worth anything anymore. And all the people who loved her in the past, they suddenly can't be bothered, they don't give a damn. And her daughter is suddenly going to come onto the stage, onto the set where she's filming, and there's all kinds of stuff that happens. It's magnificent. I think this kind of character is fantastic. How's the writing going? It's like with Via con Dios. It's only in the initial phases, and the character is called Andriana. And how many episodes will there be? I think it's 6. It's a mini-series, if you like. Well, it's not a mini-series, but it's a short series. So you're going to co-write both? Well, I don't know whether I'm really going to write this one, but I'm interested in any case in being present and in taking part, definitely in taking part. But I don't know whether with the film that I'm going to be directing or completing. I don't want to get things wrong, but from spreading myself out too much. When will the film be produced? Well, it's in 2 seasons, 2020 in the summer and 2021 in the winter. Okay. So you're getting towards the end of the writing phase. Well, we filed it with the VAF, which is the Flemish Audiovisual Foundation. We've sent in the document, and we're waiting for the answer. Hopefully, we'll have it in September. So you're going to have a good summer? Oh, I don't care. I don't really, but I'm going to try and relax and forget it. Are you making something this summer? Yes, I'm making a Flemish film called Rookie. It's in the bikers' environment with Mathieu Simonet. It's an Yvan van Veerle film, and then after that I'm going to work in a French series for Orange with Lincoln TV, Christina Bourbon, Marc Mussoni, Cheyenne and Lola. Oh yeah, it's a wonderful project. I hope we'll have the opportunity to talk about that at Série Series next year maybe. A fantastic project written by Virginie Vrac. Are there any questions in the room? It's very hot. I hope you're not falling asleep, not too much anyway. Any questions from anybody? No questions? Please don't ask questions. I think I've said everything. No, don't listen to her, whatever you do. Ah, there is a question. Thank you for always being the person who dares to ask the first question. Hello once again. I'd like to know, have you already considered writing a musical comedy? Yes, but it's very difficult. Why is it very difficult? Well, because often when I write something for a musical, it doesn't work out. And I don't think there are that many examples of very successful musicals in films. I think they work. For me, for example, the supreme musical is Hair. I think it's absolutely fantastic by Milos Forman, and Moulin Rouge, that is fabulous. Also Dancer in the Dark. Those are 3 very different films, but that really work. However, when it comes to series, I don't know. I did an audition for the Eddie, if I heard correctly, but I didn't get the role. But that's a great example of a series. But I would say it's a series rather like Vaya con Dios that is musical, but it's not an actual musical as such. Yes, and that's being made in Paris at the current time. It's a good idea, but it's not easy because it requires a massive amount of writing. Because if you like, the people who start to sing on the stage without really knowing why they're singing, it's always a bit strange, and it can stress a lot of people. Have you seen a series? It's not a musical, but it's a duo performing. No, I haven't seen that. I like Bogforce, I think he said. There is a series. Oh, I didn't know. And is it on Netflix? Let me think. It's on OCS, I think. Oh, so it's in France. No, I haven't seen it. And it really is a musical. No, it's not musical, but it's called Fausse/Verdon, and it's about the creation of a cabaret, that kind of thing. I must admit, that's one of my dreams, is to play cabaret on stage. I'd be scared stiff. I'd have diarrhea throughout the thing, but it would be so fantastic. I'd love to do it. You know, that really is a dream that I haven't yet fulfilled. I adore cabaret, and I hope that I'll get the chance. It's a strange dream to have. No, it's a great. It's not. It's not a role that people necessarily dream about, but I do. Do you have any other questions? Thank you for always putting the second question to me. Hello once again. Now, I'd be interested in knowing, you talked earlier on about masculine screenplay writers who always find it difficult, and it's very true, to write, to put themselves in the mind of a feminine character, and that produced a lot of stereotypes. Could you give advice to somebody who would like to write this kind of thing? What should we do? Should we take female hormones? Are you wondering whether you'd be capable of writing for women? Is that your question? No, I'm saying generally speaking, do you have any advice that you could give for screenplay writers? Yeah, taking hormones could be a good idea to start out with. It's a good question. No, I'd say just use a woman and co-write with the woman in question. Don't try and be a woman. Why try and be a woman? I think you have to deal with a woman and her role in the same way as you deal with the role for a man. In other words, women, they're not perfect. They all have fault lines. That's the thing that always horrifies me in a lot of films. The women are always perfect women, you know, finger down throat. Sorry. I'm going to be a bit provocative, and I do apologise for this. Now, a woman who writes masculine roles, how about that then? Oh, we're very good at it. We're very, very good. We take hormones, male hormones, we do it properly, and we put a false dick down our knickers. No, no, no. I have no answer to that question. No, neither do I. We basically watch our husbands. That's a good way of doing it. We look at how our husbands behave. No, I think that the right balance in the writing process is something you can achieve if you find a man who you can co-write with. For Shine and Lola, for example, for the series, we worked with a producer, a woman, the writer was a woman, and then the other main character was a woman. So I said we absolutely must have a man on board, because otherwise it's just not going to work. We're all going to fight. We're going to pull each other's hair out. Yes, having said that, the two heroines are women, aren't they? Cheyenne and Lola. Yes, but nevertheless, you do need a man to be able to create a balance, to rebalance things, to introduce a bit of testosterone into it. In other words, we are different, and you need that as well. You need a bit of weighting. Yes, it's important to create the right balance between men and women. Putting together a series or a film or whatever, it's important to have a contribution from both. Any last questions from the room? I don't quite know what time it is. I don't know whether I've got a bit of time light or not. No, I think we've run over. I think we've run over. We'd already run over earlier. 16 minutes past. That's okay. We've got time for one more question. If you want a couple more minutes, do make the most of this. Who asked the third question earlier? It's the guy over there, the young woman in red. Young woman in red. I'm sure if you think about it, you must come up with a question. No, the third question was the guy there, the guy from RTBF. Mr. Lair from RTBF. No more questions? Well, if there aren't any questions, we're not going to hog the stage, are we? We're not going to force people. In that case, I just wanted to say a very, very big thank you to Veerle. It was absolutely wonderful to be here with you this afternoon, to see you again. It really is always a great pleasure. For me also, sincerely. Thank you very much.